Hello and welcome to the Nanosecond Media postgame show. I'm Eric,
And I'm Pat.
and oh boy, do we have a good game to talk about today. By the way, how do I sound? This is my new mic.
It sounds pretty good.
Thank you. So starting off with the fact Deshaun Watson got hurt again. Um, where do you? What do you think they should do? Should they roll him out another couple games, or uh? I'm
Well,
stuttering
Eric,
now.
this is going to be a topic of discussion for quite some time. They put him in. This injury is supposed to actually be a 4 to 6 week recovery time, and trying to throw him in there on the third game. Oh, I feel fine. Oh, there was no. If you watched the plays he was in, he couldn't get any zip on the ball.
No.
He went to throw long, and it was about it took twice as long for the ball to get there as it should have. And plus his accuracy was terrible. But that's what you get when you practice with the team for one time out of 3 weeks.
Oh yeah,
This is
exactly.
good. This is going to end up being uh, Watson's going to end up being a subject of contention for probably the next 3 or 4 weeks. They need to just let him rest. They they need to bring excuse me. They need to bring or let PJ Walker take it over and just let it go. If he healed, if once he's healed enough that he can actually look like a professional, then bring him back in. But until he does, leave his ass on the sideline. He was mad. You could tell he was mad because they took him out.
He's been, and I think I said this on Nanosecond on Tuesday. He's been hurt, uh, for a while. He hasn't been able to put zip on the ball the whole season. Like
Well,
it just
I'm
is.
afraid that that's something they're going to have to deal with before they're going to have a quality or a Pro Bowl quality quarterback. That Ant or that PJ Walker that's in there has got my vote until such time that Deshaun can prove himself. And until that happens, we're probably going to just have to stay with him.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But the nice thing about it was that when they put Walker in there, you noticed the whole theme of the game changed.
Oh yeah, because they had to dumb down the playbook, or they wouldn't have been successful. Because
And
there's a
they,
lot of stuff in that playbook for the for just for Deshaun. No one else can run it. Sorry.
well, are you better off with a playbook for Deshaun, or are you better off with dumbing it down and winning the damn game? That's what this all comes down to.
Oh, no, I agree. I'm just saying, like, they have to dumb it down, or no other quarterback on this team's gonna understand it. But um, since I know we have semi-limited time, let's jump into the Miles Garrett topic. Uh,
Miles Garrett,
what a game! Two
Miles Garrett has wings.
two strip sacks, one that ended up in a touchdown, and then I don't know how a human, especially that big, can fly over the center and the offensive line and not get stopped.
Well, his theme song from a couple of years ago should be "I believe I can fly.
Huh.
I believe I can touch the sky."
Awesome.
That's the way I look at that. He that play where he vaulted over over that center was just flipping incredible. I've never seen anybody do that. Plus, on the other hand, he had what, 2 sacks on in this game anyway.
And they were both strip sacks
Yeah,
also. So the one for the touchdown and then one earlier in the game.
well, he's
So
definitely a highlight of that game. I
well,
was
him
really
and
kind of disappointed. There was points with that defense. I was kind of disappointed in them. That wasn't the defense we saw against San Francisco. Wasn't even close
no,
because you started. I'm starting to see a lack of being in position with some of these players. There was a couple of plays there that ended up being big plays just because the damn players were out of position. They
exactly.
should they should have had, you know, there was 3 or 4 missed tackles in a row, and you can't do that and be a Super Bowl team.
No, I mean, I I feel like they're still lacking in spots, especially linebacker. They lost. I don't know what was up with JOK, but he didn't play. Like,
I don't know what was up with that. They ended up putting Denzel Ward ended up in the locker room too,
mhm.
and there was 2 or 3 other defensive players that ended up there that I kind of was concerned over. And then you started losing you lost the one corner there, I think, but from the offense,
Oh yeah.
and you start losing stuff like that.
Oh, running back. You lost
Yeah,
Jerome Ford. Okay.
yeah, but there was a corner there that went in too, I think.
There was a corner for them, yes, but then there was Denzel Ward. Those were the only two corners.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So each team lost a corner, and then we lost I feel like a couple other defenders. I was surprised by Jordan Elliott,
Yeah, he did.
96.
He's coming into his own. I think that I think you give him the rest of the season, he'll be all right.
My question is, will they trade him to get maybe somebody at another position? I just saw an article that they're making a lot of calls for offensive line and wide receiver.
Well, that why that's happening. You've got a trade deadline coming up in what, seven,
Days.
9 days,
Hmm.
8 days, because I think the trade deadline's the 30th. And if you once you get to that point, you're locked in with what you got for the rest of the season.
Oh yeah.
So that's why they're making the that's why they're trying to make the moves they're gonna try to make. They got a little bit of salary cap room left. I don't see why they just can't back up what they've already got.
Oh, sorry. I just saw your message in the private chat. I was thinking
It's
maybe
just
that was
I was here, you couldn't hear me earlier.
okay. Yeah. I Cuz there's a button that I have to press to connect the volume and I didn't first see you. So anyway, back to the Browns game. I'm still getting used to this StreamYard stuff, but the broadcast looks really good. I just was sending it out to people and the broadcast looks really good that we're doing. So, what's your review? I know you like to listen, speaking of broadcast, you like to listen to the radio broadcast. Do you still have a problem with the guy that was on there today?
It's funny you ask that. Just for the listeners, that the guy that replaced Jimmy Donovan on the Browns network actually came from. He was a college announcer. Eric,
Mhm.
you know more about that than I do.
So, okay, I'll tell. Originally, it was Chris Rose who did games in the preseason or does preseason games on Channel 5 here in Cleveland for the Browns, and then works for NFL Network. And he did NFL games back in the early 2000s. Then last week, I think Jim Donovan's leave lasted longer than they expected. So last week, Andrew Siciliano from NFL Network and NBC Peacock took over Browns Radio Network. So, in my opinion, I think he was actually good today. I don't
He
know.
was good, but he still sounded like a college announcer.
I mean,
Those guys all have a certain ring to their voice.
but at the same time, they're putting a studio guy because even though he does the college games, he's a studio analyst and studio show host for NFL Network. So he doesn't get a lot of play by play experience. I think this is his first year with Peacock, and then he did some Rams games for a year, but he doesn't have that much experience. Um, so, but I don't know. I think
Uh,
go ahead.
it was a difficult call. Let's talk about the offense a little bit.
Yes,
What uh, what did you think of the last couple of minutes?
I I thought shaky. I don't know what the refs. I think it came down to like last week. The refs took too much. They had too much control over it in the way of they dictated with the two late penalties on Indianapolis. Like, what are they? They should have let them play a little bit. I mean, it helped the Browns. I'm a Browns fan. Don't get me wrong, but they should have kind of let them play a little bit instead of in the last 45 seconds calling a defensive holding and a defensive pass interference.
Well, if you wouldn't have had that, the game would have been over at 50 seconds because that's when that turnover or that guy picked. Yeah, it wasn't it. It was a fumble,
Yeah.
and that if that would have went the way that they thought it did, then it would have been it would have been over at the 50-second mark. But what's nice or was nice for the Browns that they got that defensive uh what was it? It was defensive contact call.
Yeah.
And that,
It was defensive holding and then pass interference.
and then at that point, I thought the Browns might have had a chance. And sure enough, they came back when they put him at the 1 yard line, and it took them 3 tries to not get in. That was a little
Mhm.
difficult to take. And Stefanski trying that. When you're up 39-38, what the? And you have 15 seconds left on the clock. What in the hell is the thinking of trying to go for three or
Oh,
go for 2 points?
I could tell you. God forbid they were to somehow Hawkins didn't get the the touchback, and they returned it into field goal range, then that would have made it. If they would have gotten a field goal, because their guy is capable of hitting a 60+ yarder,
Yeah, I
he did
saw
it
that.
against Baltimore. So he did it against Baltimore. They wanted to try to make it at least a 3-point game so we didn't lose if they got into field goal range. Hello to whoever's watching. I can't see who's watching,
If what you got to
but
worry
thank
about
you
here
so much.
is your what your coach is thinking, and evidently your coach didn't trust the special teams and defense enough to actually just go kick the field goal and be done with it, or the
Mm.
extra point and be done with it. You're
Yeah.
showing it's the old trust your players. If you don't trust your players, then it's gonna end up, you know, they're gonna sit there and think, well, the coach made them go for that 2 extra points. Maybe it was just because they didn't trust me, or maybe that's because they didn't trust our defense.
I mean, well, I still don't trust our special teams. They've been better, but you got to consider the whole. If you remember back in '01 or '02, I forget, the Music City Miracle, where
Yeah,
the something ridiculous like that happening. You gotta try to take the point. You gotta try to get the points to prevent something like that, or them getting into field goal range because of something like that.
well, I don't know. It seemed like there wasn't a whole lot of common sense in 15 seconds. It didn't seem like there was.
I
But
don't
they
know.
won, and that's all that's really important.
As I, I'm not a fan of Stefanski. If I had a breaking news bet, I would play that. But I just don't think he has fully common sense. So,
Well, between him and Van Pelt, they ended up winning a game,
mhm.
and that was a big
I
part.
mean, I don't really know what Van Pelt does because Van Pelt doesn't call plays.
He's been calling them.
Oh, really?
Yes, he's been calling. They said it. The one article I read said that it's about 70-30 now. He'll give the play to Stefanski, and Stefanski says, you know, go or no go with it, and then that's what they put in. And if it's no go, he'll put a play of his own in.
I mean, at least they're doing something like that where it's more collaborative versus
Oh,
just
that's what you can't.
Stefanski.
You're spending a lot of money for a defense or an offensive coordinator like that not to use them, and that should take a lot of the um, extra work off of Stefanski that he doesn't need to be doing anyway.
Exactly. On a slight or on a different note, but I know we kind of have limited time here. Uh, did you catch any of the Ohio State game yesterday?
Yes, I did. I caught the whole thing.
Okay, let's talk about that.
I thought
Uh,
that they were extremely lucky in a couple of points,
mm-hmm. Agreed.
but
The I don't think McCord's the right guy, but they really don't have anybody other than Kyle McCord because Devin Brown isn't.
that McCord is just he's a temporary. He's more of a fill in between transitions quarterback. He's going to be there for the year, and then next year they're supposed to get a couple of prospects come in, and more than likely one of those will probably be quarterback next year anyway.
They had that. I think they don't have anybody coming until
Yes, they do.
25.
They got it. They got somebody coming in 24. I read that.
Okay.
I don't remember what his name was.
Because I know Dylan Raiola was supposed to come in, but he decommitted. So I didn't know that there was somebody else, but that's good.
The
Because,
last the last I heard, there was somebody on their way for 24 that could
okay.
end up being a quarterback. That may
Yeah.
have changed. God only knows.
I mean, I kind of, not to seem like I'm just negative and hate every coach that coaches my favorite teams,
Oh, you
but here
do?
I go. I do. So here I go. Ryan Day, I don't think is a good coach. I don't think he calls a great offense. I I don't know. Jim Knowlton's is an okay defensive coordinator in the case of working at Ohio State. He ran one of the best defenses in the country when he was at Oklahoma State, but that was also with lesser talent.
Yeah.
And the there's a lot of issues with Ohio State, including the offensive line. They need to do something with that offensive line because the offensive line is horrible and underperforming, and they're position coach isn't doing anything.
Yet they
Like,
haven't lost a game this year yet.
I know, but they I, they play close. The first half is just played way too close. I honestly think they just play the first half too close. They should be running away with these games way earlier. I
Oh yeah,
was impressed by number 24, Matthews, the cornerback. He took over for Denzel Burke
yeah.
because Burke was injured, but he had an interception yesterday. In the limited time he's played this year, I've been really impressed.
Well, that as far as playing it close to the vest and stuff like that, some of these. Excuse me. Some of these players are playing their hearts out, and you can tell it when it comes down to brass tacks. You know, when that game a couple of weeks ago, where they took it in the last 15 seconds, or
Mhm.
last 30 or 40 seconds. That to me tells me that that team's got spirit, and that's why they're winning and what they're playing. A
The
lot of
Maryland
time,
game, I think.
a lot of times it doesn't. The coaching has very little to do with that. These guys know what their assignments are, and they play their assignments.
It doesn't help that I think two of the players on the offense have just called it quits because they know they're going to the draft. So they're just like, why play and risk getting injured and hurting their draft stock? Emeka Mbuka and Travion Henderson. I think they both
Yeah,
kind of mailed it in for the
I don't know.
season.
Ibuka played yesterday, and I didn't think he did that bad.
No, he didn't. He was out. Number 2?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was out. I'm trying to think who that Fleming played good, Harrison played good, and there was another receiver,
I'm
but
trying.
Mbuka was
I'm
out.
trying to think. I don't. I thought I saw Ibuka.
No, because he's the punt returner too, and it was Jalen Ballard that was, or Jalen or Jaden, I don't remember. Ballard who was returning.
Yeah.
So, and that's his replacement.
Uh,
So,
as far as mailing it in, I don't see some of that. They just maybe don't want to get hurt.
mhm. Well, in a way, wouldn't that be considered mailing it in though? Because you're you don't want to get hurt because you know it's going to affect your
Did
draft
it too.
stock. So
Anyway, we need to wrap this up because
okay,
I got to get
well,
the.
um,
I did want
the
to let's have one other thing. What
okay.
about what about Michigan's Harbaugh?
Oh, the cheating scandal.
Yeah, think he did it?
Yep. I mean, there's no way a team gets that good that quick. They did something, and they got caught, and they're posing it off or throwing it off on that low level assistant. No, Harbaugh had
Uh,
something to do with it.
Harbaugh supposedly had been going to other games and and stealing play calls, watching
Ah,
watching play calls, and that's what they're really after him about because he's not allowed to do that.
no, not at all.
And
Stealing signs.
I think he did it.
Spygate, Spygate 2.0.
Never know. Bill did
Anyway,
it. Bill
uh,
did it.
oh
Bill
yeah,
hired Bill hired a lip reader. Sorry about the noise here.
no, that's fine.
Uh,
Um, but
Bill hired
anyway,
Bill hired a lip reader to do it. So anyway, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
okay. Thank you so much for the time, Pat. Tune in at 7 tonight to crookedriverradio.com, Twitch, what other places? Because now I'm drawing a blank.
Twitter, Rumble, we're everywhere.
Just search Crooked River Radio, Radioactive, 7 p.m. Thank you for joining, Pat.
Not a problem, Eric. See you for the next game.
Okay, see you for the next game. Bye.
Bye.